So, how it all started. Once again, I apologize for having to read it, but English is not a second language, human level of understanding and speaking it, so it is what it is. Enjoy looking at a guy who talks his story while reading it from a paper. So, how it all started. 2019, I moved to Belgrade, it's a capital city, and I moved there for the college. In a small 1.5 room apartment. Started attending some classes, did some standard student jobs, unpacking boxes, moving boxes, packages, working on dock, storage departments, units, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. The most mainstream student job you can think of for a guy, right? I was doing that after the classes to get some money on the side and pay for the expenses, maybe some PC stuff, and generally get some money on the side, right? So not much was going on for me in that point in my life. But one of my good friends, Genakru, was streaming Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 on Twitch, the franchise I grew up with. Battlefield 1942 is the first, maybe not the first, but one of the first FPS games I've played as a child, like at the age of 5, maybe 6. But I remember my dad was playing it a bit before I actually started playing it. So, I got this an idea. How about I start streaming as well? Because to who does not this idea of making money by playing games look appealing, right? Let's be fucking real. You all thought about it. So, I was like, yeah, I'll start doing it after I'm done with at least the first semester, or, maybe get a hang of this Belgrade life and, student life and this and that. Fuck it. Got BF5, set up in the OBS, got, the room a bit reorganized, then here we are, Here we are streaming on a 15-inch Asus ROG GT500 something, I don't fucking know, laptop to like 2 viewers. Wink wink, very depressing, 2 viewers, nobody to watch. So, again, I would fire up a stream and play some Battlefield 5, and I quickly started getting attention from Battlefield community, and people found my mechanical skill and playstyle really enjoyable to watch, since Battlefield being Battlefield, it's not a place where you often see people with good aim, or with any aim, or any mechanical skill at all. So, few months went by, and I've gotten myself a small following on Twitch, and about, 5 to 10 people that would always stop by on my stream to chat a bit, say hi, And I never thought that these few people that I met in the beginning would actually be really close friends to me, The people who actually watched me in the beginning and supported me in the beginning. Not really support, but like, I don't know how to explain. I mean, yeah, they did support me, but like, don't mind me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Haven't slept 6 hours all combined in the past 3 days. So, in those few months that have passed since I moved in Belgrade for college, I started doing photography as well, in a spare time, since that was one of the classes I had in college. So, I had some ideas how to monetize it, and I can't lie, I had a big luck on my side that allowed me to connect with major fashion names and big YouTubers in my country. Again, it was skill, on my end, but can't lie, most of it was luck, how I managed to get so fast at that point. So, I stopped working in the labor jobs and focused on monetizing photography that got me a nice amount of money, actually amazing amount of money, and that helped me pay for, college expenses, helped me pay the first college year, helped me pay, my rent in advance, and allowed me to actually invest some of that money as well in the streaming setup. So I sold my laptop, and I've gotten myself what was at that time a pretty decent PC. Had a i5 9600K, GTX 1080, and 16 gigs of RAM. Nothing crazy, but good for 150-ish FPS while streaming. So, my community went even further than that and supported me with some spare cash, and few people came in and dropped each dropped like 100 or 200, and that all combined made like, 400, 500, 600 bucks to help me get a high refresh rate monitor, like 144 or 240. So, at that point in time, I'm getting anywhere 240 Hz, and now got a nice PC, nice monitor. I switched from 0.8 or 1 megapixel camera and built-in microphone in the headsets to an actual, USB mic and C920. So, by now, we're in the Q1 of 2020, and I went from all that to a solid PC. But we also had COVID-19 coming in, and I don't know how it was in other countries, but in Serbia we had this thing called police hour, where basically not allowed to be you're only allowed to be outside the house in certain time of the day, let's say between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And with that, the demand for photography, videography went down to zero. So, due to now having this police hour and COVID, and basically, I paid for a big portion of my college. I was like, how about to just move back to my hometown? The things are gonna be much easier for them when I'm with my family. And again, we don't really know what to expect from this virus going around, you know? So after moving back to my hometown, I was helping my parents around our small family business and dedicated majority of my free time to streaming. My channel was growing more and more, and all the money I was making from streaming and helping my parents out in the family business were invested into building this entire studio. So bit by bit, I was renovating and doing 90% of the work by myself. The other like 10% with my dad or with my friends, you know, whenever we had some time. And apartment was bone naked to the concrete and he had half working electricity. Yes, I'm reading that, sounds fake, but it is how it is. Also beside that, also upgraded my PC to 9900K and got myself a second PC, which was to encode the stream. So more FPS, less input lag, higher stream quality. Win-win. One more. So, whole reason for me taking this big of a step is due to awful internet I had at home. You know, seeing the rapid growth I have on Twitch and knowing that next Battlefield is coming by the end of 2021, I had to prepare myself in time in case the next Battlefield makes me famous, you know, and allows me to make a career out of streaming. You know, some people might call it dumb, but you need to understand my perspective. To make a career out of streaming, I don't need to be making EU money. I have to be making Serbian money. So, in order to get like a average paid job in Serbia, I will need like maybe $400 or $500. Well, for you, my viewers, if you were to make a streaming your career, you will need to make 3-4K, you know, a month in order to live about the same as I do. So, very dead. Yeah, and with the ISP. So, with my internet provider, in my house I was limited, coincidentally, with the worst internet provider there is in the region. And I wasn't having a choice to get a second one or get a better one or anything. So I moved into this apartment, which is luckily 10 meters away from the ISP office. So stable as it gets regarding internet. So I was doing a lot of training on USA market as well, and I was passionate about aiming and mechanical skills. So I would go on a USA market, buy 10 different mice, try them out, and sell them for like 20-30% higher, so I can try even more mice next time. Did a bit with other PC components, but mainly was doing that with mice. I can't say an accurate or exact number of mice I've used, but it's around 200. From random no-names Chinese clones to proper mice, you know, the ones that Logitech, Razer, SteelSeries made. Now, this is the part where home mice and aim journey starts becoming a passion. I mean, let's be real, it was more of an obsession, but okay. There was a question that was constantly echoing in my head. Why after 200 mice I've tried, dozens of them modded, PCB swap, from wire to wireless mods, you know, weight reducted, this and that, and God knows what other Frankenstein mods did to the mice. Why after all those mice, I'm still using the Zowie Z812 from like 2013 and 2014 that I bought back in 2019 when my G305 died. So, why? Because all these newer mice should leave the Zowie in dust, right? So, I started researching the so-called philosophy behind aim and behind the shapes and behind anything that could give us advantage or put us in a disadvantage as the players. And with all the experience and knowledge that I have now in about middle of 2021, I managed to improve my mechanical skill in the next 6 months more than I improved in the past 5 or 6 years. Now that's the entire reason why I still have these trash YouTube videos left on my channel, so I myself, for you as viewers, can go back and, for example, see how I played in 2017 and see how I play now, you know, and you can see a big difference. And now again, I'm not the guy who aim trains. I don't really have anything against aim training. I actually support it, but I'm against what most people consider aim training. You know, there's a difference between aim training and spending 5 hours a day shooting targets in irrelevant and useless scenario name like Borkovacs. So there's a big difference. The improvement I did wasn't really about aim training. It was by applying the things I figured out, that nobody talks about. Also, this was about the time when I moved into my apartment. Here. It was 2021, April, maybe May, not really sure. And by this time now, we are modding my stream, having a great time. I'm, PCB swapping, painting, weight reducting, doing all this stuff and applying some of the new knowledge I gathered in the past year or so. So, a few months down the line, right before the actual 2021 is over, I've had this idea, why not make my own mouse with this new experience? And from my point of view, why not make my own Mikisol mouse, right? By that time, that was just an idea, and it wasn't something I was willing to share to my community just yet. I was waiting for Beta for 2042 to release, stick to a plan of streaming it and making some content around it, and then later on, present this idea to my community. Well, let's just say that Beta for 2042 did us dirty. Not just me, but every single other streamer out there. Game came out in an awful state, low-key unplayable, how bad it was, and the crucial part, it had a major issue with the mouse input, and it still has it, So, basically, the simplest way I can explain it to you, the game is emulating analog sticks, so you're not having raw mouse input. So, for someone whose entire channel was oriented, around mechanical skill and aiming and, going crazy in the games and stuff like that, this was a deal breaker for me, Some of my friends I met through streaming, like Anders and Silk, they've had a much easier time adapting and working around this issue to continue growing their channels and brands. Now, I can't put entire blame on Beta for 2042 and its developers. I wasn't ready for unexpected, and I didn't make a plan B how to adapt myself in case something goes that much bad. Because again, I was going like a bull against a wall. I'm like, I'm gonna, continue doing the same thing and everything is gonna go according to the plan. Now, Anders being also an amazing player, he kind of switched from, your average pump stomper streamer to more educational and news reporting about the game streamer. And Silk being a vehicle player, well, for him the mouse input wasn't big of a deal. So, 2021, November/December, I'm at the point where everything I was doing now hits a wall and I didn't bring big enough tools to take it down. So, should I give up after 2 years of dedicating myself to streaming and learning all of this? Or do something dumb, So I still have 1 more year of college. Do I play it safe? Finish the college, keep streaming on a side and see where that goes? No, I took the risk. Of course I did, right? I'll delay my classes and exams as much as I can and start focusing on the idea about making my own mouse. I told my community that I'm stepping down from streaming to fully focus on something big that I planned for some time now. Call it dumb, call it irrational, but I've had a passion, and if I tossed under the carpet, who knows if it would still be there after a few years, after I'm done with the college and got the job, and settle with this and that, right? Who knows if that passion and, a thirst for it would still be there. So 2021 December, till the time as I'm writing this, it was one hell of a fucking ride. So, since my family had a small business, I had a decent idea and experience on how you should run one, how you should run a business. I've also tried a lot of mice, and I did the research on shapes, aim, mechanical skill, blah, blah, blah. So how hard can it be to make a mouse and run a small business on a global scale? Not that hard, right? Well, I was fucking wrong. So, fuck it, let's go all in and we'll figure things on the go. But where do I start? The whole mouse concept is still just an idea in my head. So how do I get it in the heads? How do I export it as a product? How much could it cost? Do I sell one or both kidneys? Can I sell someone else's kidney for it? Jokes aside, I knew since the start that things won't go smooth and easy on this path, but it's a path I had to take and I'll rest and cry later. So, for about a year since most of the time was spent on researching shapes and philosophy that lies behind it, I here and there started figuring some things on the side, besides just, making the shape. So, at about this time, I also managed to get investor. They ended up getting a pretty fair and good deal, and the project got pushed in the back for $20,000, and some additional help from my community and a few other people. So this was a game changer since salaries in Serbia and overall life standard does not really allow individual like me to do something like this, Again, average selling in Serbia, 400 or 500 bucks. If you Google it out, it's gonna say like 800, but propaganda. I live here, I know what's the fucking lifestyle. So, I've come to a conclusion that grips, as of what we know now, the palm, claw, or fingertip, or the hybrid fingertip, or hybrid claw to palm, like all these grips, are just the tip of the iceberg, and that all of us understood it wrong. So, mice shapes are not designed for a specific grip. They are designed for application. Certain mice, due to their shapes, will allow you to perform better in XX games, mainly because they allow your hand and aim to move differently. Simple analogy would be, why is Zowie EC1 or EC2 or Glorious Model D or XTRFI M42, roughly all these ergo mice, right? Why are they the main shape and they're like a standard of the mice shape for CSGO competitive scene? And why tech FPS players prefer this over the small ambidextrous mice that are preferred by majority of players in fast-paced and, like, arena shooters or generally the games that have, verticality. You're not aiming on a horizontal axis, you're not also aiming on vertical axis. So, games that are like Overwatch, Quake, Fortnite, Apex, and so on. So, why do people from CSGO prefer like a EC2 shape, Model D shape, how is it called, the M42? While these other people prefer Logitech G Pro X, Viper Mini, Ultralight 2, and so on. You can grip any of these mice, however you want. It's just that their shape and design will allow your aim to perform better on a specific aim spectrum. Logitech G Pro X was one of the most brilliant things that Logitech did. They made a mouse that felt good in all games, across all sensitivities, and that felt good for most players. There is one issue. Jack of all trades is master of none. But is it? See, a mouse only needs to be a jack of certain trades, not all of them. The way I look at it is the mouse itself should allow you to maximize your muscle control in XX parts of aiming, while also being a tool that doesn't require muscle control in some other aspects of aim. Just for example, a mouse shape by its design and nature should allow a player to easily go from a snappy fast flick into a smooth tracking, while allowing players to use his mechanical skill to operate on vertical axis, tracking and flicking up and down, for example. Most of mice, if not all of the ones I've tried, do not allow you that. Simple as that. You can try that with whatever mouse you have right now on you. Go from a super fast flick or a snap into consistent and smooth tracking. You will find it very difficult to do, or practically impossible, due to your fingers now clenching hard on the mouse in order to stabilize it. Stiff grip basically equals jittery aim. It's just how it is. It's not a rocket science. The more relaxed you are, the smoother your aim is going to be. So another good example would be looking at the target switching clips. 99% of people will deadlock their mouse in one spot after target switch and fail to do a follow-up micro adjustments or tracking. The way Contender is designed is to allow players to do exactly that, to ease up smooth tracking right after a snap on the target. Now, getting Contender just from an idea to a concept in reality was much harder than I thought. It was, I know what needed to be done, but how would I do it? So the rough idea behind it was, let's take XX aspects of currently existing mice shape that are designed well for the XX parts of aiming and forge into one mouse to make like a perfect mouse, right? Perfect shape. What I discovered throughout trying all of these different mice, take everything with a grain of salt, what I'm saying. Don't just trust me blindly to anything I'm saying or anybody else, just like I said in the previous video. But I found that Zowie Z812 has the best foundation. Low front, high back. You can never go wrong with that. Logitech G102, G203, G305, generally the X shape, allows extremely nice micro adjustments and forces you to stay calm and relaxed. Logitech G303, due to its diamond shape, locks your grip like an anchor and feels like a cheat code for tracking in horizontal axis. Now, Zowie Z12 feels comfortable and natural to hold. Nothing crazy to point out beside it only feels natural to hold and stable due to a hump resting on middle finger crease right about here, and inside your palm. Logitech G305 or the X shape, good for micro adjustments and smoothness, but it's very hard to stabilize. Logitech G303 feels like a cheat code for tracking on horizontal axis, but it's practically impossible to track and flick vertically without feeling odd or feeling weird for most people. All three of them have their pros, but what are the cons? Their disadvantage is that they are too exaggerated. You don't need whole mouse looking like an egg, you can just have its sides look like that, you know? You don't need the mouse looking like a diamond, you can just have it being more narrow to the front compared to the middle. So, back to the topic of getting it from a head into the hands. I first tried to brute force it. Got some G302s, same shape as G303 but it's cheaper, G102s and Zowie Z12s, and I started cutting them apart and sticking each different parts into one another to get a general idea. Yeah, it was fucking dumb, and now I see how dumb it is when I'm reading this. But by that time, I didn't know better. So, the second idea was, how about I start modeling the sides with different materials such as Play-Doh or hot glue and get a concept in reality. That worked, but now the mouse is too big and too heavy. Then I tried sculpting it out of something and making casts so I can multiply it and fine-tune the shape. I had zero knowledge about sculpting or modeling, so I took some classes to learn that. After some time learning, I gave it one more shot, but there was the issue that I couldn't cast a mold with something I could optimally work on. I tried silicone, tried rubber, lead, plastic, wax, polyolefin, something like a wax but it's not wax, I don't know, and other random materials. After all those trials and errors, I got an idea of making the general shape in Blender, increase its size a tiny bit, and 3D print it out of some soft plastic that I could easily work on by hand. Mouse was modeled in Blender, 3D printed in like 20 samples, from which I ruined 17 to make one that feels okay. Then take that one updated sample, 3D scan to 3D scanning, clean it up in Blender, 3D print 20 more, and then ruin 19, and then get that one that now feels even better, and take it to 3D scanning, and then like clean it up, and the cycle repeated itself dozens of times. So, once I've gone through this process a few times, I had Contender in hands, exactly how I imagined it to be and feel in the hand. But there is one issue. I'm just a human like anyone else, and humans tend to be biased towards things they like and prefer. So that's why after getting the shape that I wanted, I consulted and got input from dozens of pro and competitive players, and from extremely talented aimers in our community. To my surprise, not much was changed after their feedback. They seemed to agree with my ideology and design, and majority of difference, if not 99% of difference in opinion, was about the size. So, after a bunch of the input from other players that are on my skill level or higher, I got the mouse downsized a bit down to roughly Z13 size. Z12 is bigger than Z13 and Z11 is even bigger. So, I managed to downscale it a tiny bit, but also preserved the original features of it that I wanted to keep. I took the final shape, cut open with a Dremel, hot glue Viper Mini PCB inside, and fingers crossed the shape design fulfills every expectation in the game. It did. Even though the mouse was so poorly and cheaply assembled at this point, it felt better than my main mouse, the Z12. And they managed to allow me to do exactly what I tried achieving the shape. Flicks felt more stable, tracking was much more smoother, and overall felt so much more confident in my performance. A long story short, of explanation behind the Contender shape is low front, high back. Mouse button 2 is slightly higher than mouse button 1 to combinate for fingers default height when it's relaxed. When you keep like a hand like this, you know, like you relax it, for most people this middle finger is gonna be tiny bit higher. And I was experimenting with that and it just felt better to have a right button tiny bit higher. Might sound dumb and psycho, but like, don't judge, you'll see. So the left side is 10 millimeters, the right side is 12 millimeters. The next feature of it is a symmetrical thumb position that targets the middle finger crease and proximal transverse. So it's, rather than targeting this, it's targeting this part here. When in relaxed position, and tenor when in locked position. Tenor is basically this part here, you know, when you pull it inwards. So, you can Google these parts out of the hands to get the general idea of what I'm talking about. To be honest, I don't call it like that in my fucking day-to-day life, but I felt like it's easier to give it a scientific name so people who are interested can Google it out and see exactly where the touching points of the mouse are. So, slightly convex sides rather than concave as a majority of mice. So as again, I took a well-known feature of the egg mouse where it's like convex like this, and I put it on the Contender. Again, adjusted to feel right. Wing right next to the mouse button 1 to allow comfortable form of 1-3-1 grip to users who prefer that over the standard 1-2-2 grip. Now, if you're playing on a 1-2-2 grip, you're gonna have no issues. The mouse is gonna feel like any other. So, roundness of its body follows the angle of relaxed state of the fingers, so that players holding it by the angle have an extra support with palmar ligaments. It was basically this, Sensor placed right in the middle of where most people would grip, slightly above the center of the mouse. I really felt how Zawi placed their sensor. Balanced around the sensor and weight split in half on bottom and half on top shell to make it feel even lighter in the head. So, mouse is basically an ergo, but looks like ambidextrous from a first glance, due to its some subtle asymmetry. In meantime, to this day, a lot of time and effort was spent making sure other things are figured out and done. Numerous visits to attorneys, patent agencies, contracts, imports, exports, taxes, other legal stuff, and etc. I don't want to go too much in detail about that because even this is a shortened story. Trust me, if I can talk 5 hours about this, I'll cover only half. And if I add the legal part of it and the other boring stuff, fucking 3 days off topic. Anyways, fast forward to April/May 2023. Everything seemed to click in this place, and I'm now traveling around Serbia trying to find a factory that could injection mold mouse for me, right? So, at first I decided to travel with a bus in order to save money, but that wasn't optimal because by going with the public transport, I can visit 2 factories per day, for example, while if I was to go with the car, I would spend like 2 times money on the fuel, but managed to visit 6 or 7 factories in a day. So it was more, optimized. So, few weeks fly by, and I visited or contacted almost every factory I could find in Serbia. 99% of them wouldn't even care to work with me or talk to me due to the project being too small for their interest or because they never made anything regarding PCs. Now, the issue was that most of these companies were small and ran by one family and that their business model was exporting XX goods in the EU. I tried approaching them as individual and as a company/business entity, no luck on that. After some time, the choice was down to about 10 companies that are willing to work with me, and now I'm in a process of negotiating the price, estimating costs, time to produce, judging their work environment and machines, how their quality control team is, do they even have a quality control team, and so on. About a month later, we get to end of May, and we made a deal with one small factory and production began. Waited a week or so for the first samples of the Contender, and let's just say that the quality was nowhere near what I expected to be. The mouse was totally off. Whole mouse was making cracking sound, visible cracks in plastic could be seen from inside the shell. Bottom plate wasn't aligned with the top shell properly, so some samples couldn't even be closed. The mouse button 1 and the mouse button 2 were a bit more stiff than how I wanted them to be, and all around I felt like this is total failure. Now, I'm in a full panic mode because this was the really expensive part of the project and also the most important one. Parties were pointing fingers to who is at fault. The company that made a mold that did injection molding was blaming me for providing faulty 3D model, while the 3D model, the guy who did 3D modeling, was pointing fingers to them. So I had a few options, and I felt lost what to do. I've asked these guys to give me the mod so I can take it somewhere else and do a test/research on it to see if the mod is faulty and figure out things from there. They rejected giving me the mod due to some policies and whatever stuff they made up just to justify not giving me something I paid for. And to my understanding of it, they did it so because they're either afraid that I will produce mouse somewhere else for cheaper and scam them, since they made me a mod for quite much cheaper than competition with an agreement for me to produce the shells with them, or I could take the mod somewhere, like test it or research it and then find out they fucked up, So that's how I understood it, why didn't they want to give me. So by that time, I spoke to my attorney to see what can we do, can we take them on a court, what can be done, And I didn't write in the text, but when the attorney called them, one-to-one translated what he said, the owner of this company, is suck a dick, fuck your mother, take me on court. One-to-one translated. So he handed the call, and what am I supposed to do, right? So due to how courts operate in Serbia, it would take about 3 to 5 years to resolve this, since it's not an urgent case. By that I mean nobody got injured, endangered, or killed, right? So lawsuit would cost me a lot of money, and who knows if I could win in a court. Because again, Serbia, it's not going to be prioritized. The guy I'm suing has God knows how much more money than I do. So what can I do, right? Decided to let go of it. As much as I hate the decision, I know it's smartest choice I could have made. And I decided to play safe by making a new 3D model with a different guy and see where it goes. Because I can choose to trust the guy who did 3D modeling and risk that, or I could trust the mod company and then just make another 3D mod. It was just like pain in the ass what to do. So fast forward until about end of June, I got in touch with another guy and he started working on the creation of a new 3D model. Luck again wasn't by my side, since this guy was late on everything. He promised like, I don't know, 5 to 10 days to finish, waited for a 3D model till the end of August, which is much more than 5 to 10 days, right? The 3D model was made so poorly that even when 3D printed, it came out like someone with a budget of $30 made it. Confronted the guy about it, and again, I had to take accountability for someone else's mistake. I promise you guys that the mouse is getting released in June. I get everything in my power done, get everything done right, and then somebody else screws. And then now I have to, show the accountability for someone else's mistake. Anyways, I confronted the guy about it, and even though I taught him exactly what to pay attention to, what mistakes to avoid, what to focus on, what are the important design aspects and key features of the mouse, and even though I taught him all of that, so great, one mode and 2 3D models are down the drain. I tried making it via Fiverr, but you can assume how all of it went, right? So, second guy got paid in cash, so there is no proof of that. The first company now I have to sue, and the other 3D models were made via Fiverr, so it's not any different than if I took the fucking money, and did that, It is what it is. So, in the end of August, beginning of September, I found this new guy, and so far things are going well. We decided to make mouse from scratch, again, but this time take baby steps. We split mouse in few parts, and we are focusing on one part at a time to make sure we don't start working on new part until the previous one is 100% complete. He's also from Serbia, so we either doing calls or a meet in person so we can talk about it, and make changes right in front of my eyes on his laptop or setup, and therefore we get it done 100% how I want it. This way, once everything is done, pick a small step, we 3D print, I test in person, I give it a green or red flag. If I give it a green flag, we continue from there on. We managed to fix every issue the previous samples had, such as the not aligning properly, or the build quality, or the mouse cracking or breaking, So, we managed to solve all of that. So, current state of design is 90% is done, or 99, I don't fucking know how to put it. But, only thing left to do is now wait for the import of 3395, measure things in person, as I was measuring things that the manufacturers provide me or the info on the internet, so we have this situation. A reviewer says one thing, internet says another thing, and once we measured in person, it's a third thing. So, just not to waste time, money and energy, I'm waiting for them to be imported, we measure in person, and we adjust the bottom plate to carry 3395, rather than 3370, which was before. So, the previous PCB, as I said, was supposed to be 3370 hours, but why not get an upgrade for the same money? It's gonna cost me the same. So, I'm in the last stage of this project. I delayed it as much as I could to make sure I at least sell you guys a mouse with the quality I would personally use, and not some half a good product, Now, I don't know how far into this video, I can't see it here in the camera, but I'm sorry if this was too much of a to listen to, and to watch, and I'm sorry if you guys ended up hearing more of a sad story rather than how things went smooth and according to the plan. This is a solo project, I'm alone in all of this. I'm taking a huge bite, constantly questioning myself if I took too big of a bite, because I'm doing alone what a team of 50 or 100 people would be doing in a company, so all of this takes time, it takes effort, it takes learning on the go, it takes mistakes to be made, it takes much higher budget than what some other people would be able to utilize, So I also want you guys to understand that the Contender is not a mouse released by like these big companies like Logitech, Razer, or SteelSeries, So don't expect it to match its quality, branding, or speed of production. What you guys are buying and supporting is a journey and research on naming that takes a form of a new shape. Made by one guy with a limited budget, limited time, and best of his effort and skill. So, if you want to hear more about this research or journey or whatever the things I discovered or whatever figured out, I started this series on my YouTube channel called Fundamentals of Aiming, where I'm going to share all of that, right? Because this research has two outcomes. One is the new knowledge we have, and the second one is a new mouse shape. So, mouse shape is practically done. The mouse is about to hit the market very soon. And now the only thing left to do is now publish all of this, which I figured out, because it's gonna, why not? It's free, right? So, ready to destroy me, sorry. So, now it's kind of a tough period, because by the time I'm recording this, I'm in a sandwich between exams I've had last week and exams having, well, literally tomorrow. I'm recording this, what time is it? I have to go to exam in 12 hours. So, I'm kind of in a tough spot. So, for now, I have to put focus on that. But in about a week or so, I'll go back to focusing on this series. And I'm aiming for 2 to 3, maybe 4 videos a month regarding fundamentals of aiming. So we'll start slow, go from a bottom, and climb up to a ladder to more complex topics, just so we make sure that we get everything covered, right? So, thank you for being interested in hearing more about this project, about me, and my journey. For my community that stuck by my side since early days, thank you for supporting me in this whole path. Honestly, you guys played a much bigger role than what you think, you know? And thank you for having my back whenever I needed it, you know? I grew as a person, I grew as a streamer, as a public personality, if I can say it, right? I made mistakes, I made loves, I missed some opportunities, I took some. So, you guys had a really good insight in my life. And I was really trying to be transparent, just like I'm trying to be. Don't really like a topping on the cake where everything is, honey and milk. That's how you say it? Yeah. Not. Life isn't honey and milk. And this isn't either. So, I want to be transparent, and I would rather, guys, have you listen to this than, yo, guys, we're releasing this mouse. It's the best mouse ever. Hey, listen. Everything went smooth. No problems at all, bro. 2 months in. I make you so I can do it alone. Sorry, what was I even saying right now? Anyways, I most likely miss some details and events that happened throughout this journey, since most of the time I honestly feel overwhelmed. It's too much to take sometimes. Because again, I'm on a college, I have my job, I have family business I'm helping in, I have this solo project I'm taking, and I have a girlfriend. So, why did God not make 40 hours a day? But 24. Also, like an interesting fact is that mouse was supposed to be, originally it was supposed to be a Viper mini mod, and then it started being a 3335, and then 3371, and 3371, and now we are on to 3395, right? That's why some things had to be done from zero each time I was taking and making another 3D mod, because let's say I contact manufacturers in April, I get a deal for 3335, and then something goes wrong, and then 2 months later they allow me to get 3370, for the same price. So I'm like, let's just make it up, right? So, here we are. If you watched till the end, highly appreciate it. I'm really sorry I'm not capable of doing like the bigger YouTubers, where I would sit down comfortably, talk to the front of a camera out of my head, not something I can do. And I might watch this couple of years from now and feel sad I haven't put more effort to making this video, because honestly, it's something I really wanted to do for some time now, but it is what it is. Again, all the opportunities you miss are the ones you don't take. So, peace out, and please pre-order Contender.